Hi, we are Central Connect. Our customer is University Housing and Andreas Bohmann. Our mentor is Bob Rapp, and our supervisor is Professor Szilard Vajda. First person on our team is Tyler Huson. He is the administrator. Then we have Patrick Perkins. He does the front end. We have Jack Van Well. He does the website. And I'm Emily Bodenhamer, and I do the web scraping.
And I'm Riley Krall, and I dealt with AWS.
For our project, we were asked to create an Alexa skills application. The school wanted us to create an Alexa skill that students would be able to ask frequently asked questions and also be able to handle PII. PII is personally identifiable information. This application would be integrated into Dugmore Hall, and later, once the skill is approved, it would be sent to other dorms on campus. So the purpose of a skill is to be able to create a tool that will ease students' life on the dorms and would also allow the students easy access to information that they might not be able to find on campus or on the website. So the requirements for our skill was first, the students would need to be able to ask our skill any Central Washington University questions that they may have. It also needs to have agile access to Canvas. And then finally, in order for the information of the students to be secured, PII would need to be integrated into the skill. So now I will be handing it over to Riley to talk about APIs.
So to get this all working, we had to manipulate a couple different APIs to actually get the data for a skill. So first we access the Canvas API for students to be able to access their different data such as grades and classes and things like that. We also use 25 Live, which is our school, or is the service that our school uses to host calendar events and things like that. And then also we created our own API gateway on AWS to allow for students to be able to log in and authenticate with their own information. So some problems we faced initially with web scraping. In order to get dynamic information onto our skill, we had to implement a web scraper, which proved some difficulty when we're trying to get specific information from Google because you have to format it just right. So that took us a little bit to actually get everything properly working. Getting access to 25 Live was another hurdle that we kind of had to go through just because we had to deal on such a short time. We had to get access to kind of some sensitive information from the school. Not to mention we had to parse through, I think, about 16,000 different events. And you have to do that in very, very short amount of time, like within milliseconds, just to be able to get the student a proper response time. And then lastly, we had a little bit of problems setting up a website as none of us had really experience with it before, so actually getting it up and running and working and also interacting with our API to authenticate took a little bit of work to get going. So some risks we had to face with going through this problem. First, we had to deal with database access. So with accessing student information on the database, you had to make sure that you're getting the correct information. Specifically meaning you can't have one student getting information from another student's account. So this is where our whole authentication process comes into play, where you can guarantee that the student logging in is the student getting the correct information. The next part is data privacy, which is kind of similar, but this is more online with making sure there's no security vulnerabilities in our product. So if somebody were to try to tamper with maybe our skill or trying to break it and get access to the student records, we need to make sure that we had a kind of a solid, secure build around our functions. And the last risk we had to deal with was bandwidth issues in the school, because I'm sure we all know that the Wi-Fi at the school isn't very strong. So implementing hundreds of new devices to be able to communicate with each other would pose to be a big bandwidth issue. And so our proposal minimizes bandwidth usage on the device, but also it still might become an issue in the future. So for testing, so we started with user testing on Dugmore students because as this was going to be put into Dugmore Hall. So we went into Dugmore Hall, asked a student to kind of interact with it without telling them anything about it. and them just trying to manipulate and try to get information from our app. We use that information to further build our skill. After this, we did authentication testing to make sure that no students could access other students' information and make sure it actually was as secure as we planned it to be. And the last bit of testing we did was environment testing. So making sure it actually works in the environment we wanted to put it in, i.e. the dorms, to make sure it has proper internet access and things like that. But also making sure that no student can just like yell through a wall and get information from another student's device. So some questions you can ask this skill is, what are some building hours for different buildings on campus, like the library or the circ? You can ask what time of different sports games, such as like when is a basketball game or when is the rugby game. You can ask what movie is happening on this next Monday on Movie Madness. You can try to get club information, like descriptions of clubs or when they meet. And you can also get Canvas frequently asked questions such as like, when is my assignment due? What are my grades? What are my classes? And things like that. Okay, and now we're going to show you guys a video of our skill being used in the dorm.
Alexa, open Central Connect.
Welcome to Central Connect. Please ask me a question about Central.
When is the next sporting event?
Sorry, I don't think you specified a game.
Log me in.
What is your student ID?
414-780-54.
What is your PIN?
2903.
Are you sure you would like to log in?
Yes.
Hello, Parker.
What are my classes?
Your current classes are General Physics 2 with Lab, PLC Applications, Recreation 101, Strength of Materials, W20, ENG 310, Technical Writing.
What time does the library open?
The library is available from 7:30 a.m. to 12 a.m.
What is the next Monday Movie Madness?
Sorry, there doesn't look like there will be any movies that day.
When is the next rugby game?
The men's rugby versus Utah State home game is on March 14 at 12 p.m. in Ellensburg, Washington, located at the Tomlinson Stadium.
All right, in conclusion, we created an Alexa skill implementation of how the students would want to interact and get information about the school. We developed experience with AWS, APIs, and Python to build this. And we're pretty content with our product as it functions and it works a lot better than we actually thought it would. What's next? There's going to be a 2 to 5 year business plan for the implementation and testing of this product. After that, there will be a university-wide deployment in most dorms. And then there will also be more features, including full compatibility with university standards of grades, MyCLU, and different things like that. Thanks for listening to our presentation.